Because we saw, and I think it's the Star that did the same headline last week, talking about the possible decisions or how it would play out for the opposition, and Kalonzo's name was still as a choice candidate for the United Opposition. Do you think that trip to Bondo now solidifies that position, that he is the best candidate for the United Opposition?
On my view, I would say that particular visit gave Kalonzo some mileage, but that does not mean it is a justification to be the right opposition presidential flag bearer. What I would say on the onset is that the players who actually are corporate affiliates who want now to form these united opposition must apply these as equals. And therefore, no single player within this particular this particular occasion should be taken easy, because anybody out of them can be the flag bearer. And what I would say is that the speculation can be there. People can speculate who can be. Jubilee has presented their candidate, who is Matiang'i, and they have fronted Matiang'i still to the same team, to Robbie, to be the flag bearer. It is not automatic. Let me say DCP has fronted Gachagua to the team, also to Robbie. But at the tail end, I think they will look for a formula probably where they will seek some eminent leaders, maybe one from every single party, or a two number, and then these people will look for various diverse of factors which will be able to give them the best candidate to be the flag bearer. Note this, in any case, if it is numbers that will speak, then one like Gachagua can start to say, I have the majority. And therefore, that should not be a factor, because you need Kalonzo, you also need Matiang'i, you also need Wamarwa to win the battle. So what matters here in this particular coalition is people should approach the discussion in the spirit of oneness and victory. Because failure to that, then they were not going to have sacrifice. Because everyone of them qualifies to be the president. But if they will not go to what we call sacrifice, then it can be a very tall order. But we must have one. And therefore, anybody out of them must approach this discussion on an open mind, that it may be me, it may be not.
Yes.
And when it fails to be you, it can become a big battle.
Yet we've seen some of these leaders make the pilgrimage to Bondo. All of them, some of them choice leaders of those parties. And Eugene Wamalwa took some bulls to Bondo. Natembeya did the same, Matiang'i as well. Yeah. But the reaction that Kalonzo got, does that put him a step ahead of the rest? That the kind of dividend he got from his pilgrimage to Bondo gives him an advantage?
You know, for the first time, I have had issues with the people who give Kalonzo the advice to move the way he has been moving. But for the first time, I congratulated whoever it was that gave Kalonzo that move to make, because we know for sure that that was really attractive for Kalonzo, and it was going to confirm something, one thing. Number one, what Wakili has alluded to, and Mama Ida Odinga talked about this during the time she was eulogizing Raila on the burial date. She said, the reason why I have survived with Raila for these 50 years is because I learned one thing, to only inherit his friends, but not his enemies. So Mama Ida told the nation, and that was also by extension to the Luo nation, that don't inherit political enemies of your leader. Mm-hmm. Only inherit his friends, because you never know what tomorrow looks like. Tomorrow this person you inherited from him as the enemy is now his friend. It takes you a longer time to adjust and become the friend to the other person. So one thing for sure that happened was for Kalonzo to confirm to the nation that the Luo nation don't have a problem with him. And that was the only thing he was going to confirm. And one thing, again, remains obvious. In the game of power, power lives in the spotlight. And the Raila Odinga's grave right now is where the spotlight has been for the past 1 month or so. So power lives in the spotlight. So Eugene would go there, everybody would go there, even Rigiji should go there, because in the game of power, if you are outside the spotlight, then you don't exist. Mm-hmm. So Kalonzo wanted to secondly confirm, I exist in a big way in this election coming. Attention is actually the currency of influence. So you try and make you make it impossible to be ignored. Meaning you are on the spotlight, you are looking at all the possible means to influence things, because in the game of power, somehow the invisible has already been forgotten. So Kalonzo do not want Kenyans to imagine that he has been forgotten in this race. But one thing I know also with my people, in the words of Rigiji in the days that had passed, he said, Raila should not be lied to by people like Atwoli and the rest. He is unacceptable in the mountain, and so mountain should be respected. We would say today that Kalonzo is a very good man in bad company, because we still remember those words. And so Raila Odinga's supporters in the Luo nation would simply look at the Kalonzo as an individual and realize this is a good man for sure. But he is in a bad company. So how are we going to actually do this thing when he sticks to bad company? They say
which is the bad company?
This is what Rigathi said, that they don't have a problem with their son Uhuru. Their problem is the man, the bad company Uhuru was bringing kwa Mulema. That is the same word and the same measure we are using today. Kalonzo, you are a good man for sure if you are listening to me. You are only in a bad company.
Okay, the suggestion now is that even President William Ruto is very much interested. That's the front page of the Star. And I think on one of the cartoons, I think the People Daily cartoon has a caricature of the president as a fisherman, and the fish that he's trying to get from the... Meaning that, yes, it would appear that Kalonzo Musyoka is attractive across board. Do you think that he's also very attractive to William Ruto right now, that is what he should go for?
He is. In fact, if you were to listen to the sort of utterances that came from the lips of William Ruto, Dr. William Ruto Samoei, His Excellency, the President, in Samburu, he was expressing this against the united opposition in bitterness, like even saying that they have no brains. Attacking them like, do you think that you are the people who are only entitled to lead this country? I mean, he was visibly agitated. And when now you combine that with what came from Bondo in terms of this implicit, indirect endorsement of Honorable Kalonzo, you arrive at no other conclusion than that now the flow has shifted for him in terms of his political targets, in order for him to weaken the opposition, or they who can confront him at the ballot in 2027. And Kalonzo then appears to be right at the forefront. And so he's going to channel everything, every resource that he can get, every trick in the book, and 100 not in the book that he can get, so that to either divert the unity of the opposition or totally conflagate them and make sure that Honorable Kalonzo has or is directionless. And that's very important to me, directionless. Mm-hmm. So that then he's not going to be appealing to the Kenyan people. And this is the crux of what happened in Bondo, that suddenly Kalonzo has this attractiveness. that so outshines him as a president. Because when you compare that, he was there during the funeral himself, he took center stage. It was like, this is my function. This is me, bidding farewell to him whom I had brought onto the broad-based government. And now Kalonzo goes there, and he is the darling of the host. He's the darling of the Siaya governor. And like my good friend has said here, Mr. Odede, the Luo nation. And this did not come across during the period of the funeral, where the mass of ceremony, as it were, the default mass of ceremony, Ruto himself was, like waiting to reap that sort of, result. And so he's going to say, wait. No, wait a minute. The elevation of Kalonzo poses a direct threat to me. Why? In terms of numbers, then he has sliced off a huge chunk of the Luo vote by the mere endorsement by Mama Ida of Kalonzo, which did not happen at that time. And then you hear these murmurings and the voices coming from Luo Nyanza during the funeral that, as for 2020, we're still in the broad-based. But as for 2027, that's a different ball game. So he did not receive that sort of direct endorsement. But Kalonzo has. So automatically, in the Machiavellian game, this is the person to try and target, either deflate or deflect from the goal and the purpose. And he's going to do all of that as we go along. So I think Kalonzo should be very careful how he goes about articulating his agenda and how then he counterbalances his newfound favor, as it were, nationally and especially in Bondo among the Luo people, and the goal to oust the incumbent. That will be a burden on him.
And as you make your final comments, there's the other issue that has also come up, and I think a lot has been said about a certain demand for 50% of government. And do you agree that that could be a problem, whether government propaganda or there's reality to it, that perceived demand by certain quarters within the United Opposition of 50% of any government that they may form, that could actually be a problem?
One, let me say, those are hearsay. Those are speculations from that. Let me see. There can never be. If you are coalition united, or a united coalition, which forms a coalition for a particular cause, I do not expect that when you have like 5 players, then you can take home 50%. Where do you expect that the rest will take home? This, I think that it's far from being negotiated. And if there is, because as of now, I can tell you that in fact some negotiations are ongoing. But they are far even from knowing what portion, what. It is far from there. And therefore I would say whatever has been in our daily papers was a bare hearsay or speculation, which has no any serious facts on it. Number 2, let me underline on this, that that element of Kalonzo Bondo visit, it also gives him an upper level. And I want to support to Akili's sentiment that if Kalonzo might happen to be the flag bearer of the opposition, he has a greater chance to win a portion of Nyanza. This particular event gives some assurance that the family has not yet forgotten the journey that they have gone with Kalonzo for 15 years and the sacrifice Kalonzo has given to Raila Odinga. Despite that, at the time of his death, he was in a partnership with William Ruto. That tells you the minds and spirits of Nyanza has not forgotten the sacrifice Kalonzo has done. And therefore, if Kalonzo at any given point will be given a room, I am not speculating that he's the one, but in case out of the list, he becomes the flag bearer, he will enjoy a big, big portion. And therefore, the one who is going to serve her in a great way is William Ruto. Because the William Ruto and the manner he cemented that barrier was like he wanted to inherit the whole region, which was under the umbrella of Raila Odinga. But this particular visit, in fact, indicated that things are different. Yeah. And that sentiment from Aida and Orengo actually are clear marks that as much as we trust and we are in the broad-based, still we are not forgetting that we have friends.
All right.
And when it comes to politics, it will then the family will distinguish which way to go.
All right. As you make your final comments now, the suggestion is that William Ruto should offer, according to the cartoonist, should offer Kalonzo Musyoka the deputy president's position.
I don't know. I'm not too sure whether Kalonzo would want to go for deputy president at this time when many of his supporters think he has a chance to become president. But that is his call. I just want to imagine on a light note that, Honorable Gachagua, if you think my people have not forgotten the journey of 15 years, don't you think that confirms that they have a brain that works? So they might also not forget what they have gone through in the company of Kalonzo, the company Kalonzo keeps, because that is also playing something. If I'm your friend and Wakili here is having a gun on me and you're saying nothing, I might also remember that time, even though he did nothing, but the man he was keeping his company wanted to kill me. So that I will also remember.
Don't use that example.
So that I will also remember. So it is not only that our brain in the Luo nation can only remember the good things, but will not remember the bad things from the company Kalonzo is keeping right now. So it's a 50-50 thing, and I pray that we don't remember some and remember others. And my...
Don't forget the family for forgiveness.
Yes.
In the uttered words outside.
What I know as a final thing, what I know is us who supported Raila Odinga believed in him, and our currency was loyalty, and we listened to him. So the final thing, he left us in the broad-based. So unless somebody gets him back to tell us to move away, we will, because you know we are loyal. We will move away.
Beyond 2027.
Yes, if he comes back and tell us, now move, we will move away for sure, because we are loyal. Because of that loyalty, we remain where he left us.
Final words, Wakili.
Thank you very much. As we go to the elections, or as this phase dies out of the incumbent, I think we as the Kenyan people ought to ask ourselves, are the leaders that we elect on a perennial basis, after every 5-year cycle, serving the country in a manner that takes us to where we want to be, we should be? Are the political parties that they use as the vehicles to seize or to climb onto political positions, articulating our political goals and ambitions? And I think we should have a conversation with ourselves as to what extent do we need change from that paradigm, and will the current crop of political leaders that are offering themselves for election really a change for us? Or are we just going to have the same dynamics, same everything? And this is very important for us to consider because of the voter apathy. And I want to use the Ivory Coast example. When Gbagbo offered himself for election as against the incumbent Alassane Ouattara, what happened was that he was told, but you went to the ICC, you are indicted by the ICC, you cannot be elected. And so 50% of the voters felt that their preferred candidate, Gbagbo, cannot be on the ballot. And because of that, they pulled away. And so we have the issue of legitimacy in Ivory Coast as we speak. And half the nation not being represented or not having the person they should have had in the electoral ballot. then of course they feel disenfranchised. So as we go to this period, what do we do about the Gen Zs and the younger generation who are over 18 years old, who are just feeling that we cannot go to the ballot with the current crop of leaders? Does Kalonzo offer any change from the last 15 years or even 20 years that he's been in government? What is that difference that he's going to offer that we should elect him? For President Ruto, can we tolerate, can we be able to take 5 more years of his current leadership? Is his style and manner going to change in 5 years if it hasn't changed for now? Is Honorable Matiang'i any different from when he was in government under His Excellency, the former President Uhuru? Are these other candidates any different from what they have explicated, shown to us in their political enterprises? This is a very disturbing issue for us, because when you look at the array of candidates and you look at the history of what they have done for this country in terms of the political expressions that they've had, can we say that we are at a different place? Or are we so much more behind? That, to me, is a very disturbing issue, because if then the majority of the Kenyan people don't see any change in the horizon, we are sunk.
Very fundamental questions there. Thank you so much, Wakili Harrison Kinyanjui, Advocate of the High Court, political commentator Mesha Kodede, and James Gakuya, MP Embakasi North, our panelists this morning, and thank you for your time at TV47. Once again, the headlines: Ruto ajipigia debe, gazeti la Taifa Leo. NSC's stock price boom fails to draw new investors. That's the Business Daily. Ruto plots to split opposition, targets Kalonzo and Wamalwa. That's the front page of the Star. Matters education given prominence on the front page of the Daily Nation. Teachers split over the sham medical cover. And on the Standard, principals from hell. Remember, the principals are attending their annual conference. Once again, we do have a question on our Facebook page where we are also streaming live. That's TV47 Kenya. President Ruto has declared his intent to win the next polls, saying Raila Odinga is his only formidable opponent as he moves to woo Kalonzo and Eugene. Do you think this is a smart political strategy or an attempt to divide the opposition? That conversation continues online and you can be part of it. My name is Fred Indemuli. Good morning.